Hi, this is Kashif Rashid and I'm a portrait photographer based in Karachi, Pakistan. Today we're going to teach you how to add bokeh in post and convert this into this. So we're in my studio and as you can see we've created these light setups where we have these fairy lights which are coming from the top. So they're hanging down, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a shot of these lights. Now I have currently my camera at 1/25th of a second, 2.8 640 ISO. Now if I take a shot, I will see that the lights are coming in focus and there's no bokeh being created. So if you want to create a bokeh, what you need to do is you need to have those lights out of focus. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the autofocus to manual focus, and then we're going to manually create the shot which is out of focus. Now if we look at this shot, we're getting these bokeh, but if you can see this backdrop, which is the backdrop behind these lights, that's a bit shiny. So what we're getting over here is like these little bit of shiny things in the background that we need to remove. So what we're going to do is that we're going to create a layer in front of that shiny backdrop, and we're going to put a cloth, a black cloth in front of it. So let's just do that right now. Right, so as you can see that we have fixed a black backdrop behind these lights because we want to create a completely black background with the bokeh lights. So my aperture is on 1.6, and now we're going to take a shot of these fairy lights. My shutter speed is 125 and my ISO is at 620. Now as you can see that the sizes of the bokeh are a bit large. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase the aperture, and that way we're going to get a slightly smaller size. So now we have the aperture at 2.8 and we're going to take a shot, and we're going to keep on increasing aperture and probably a little bit of ISO as well, so that we can get a slightly smaller size bokeh. Once you've gotten the shots at different sizes, what we're going to do is that we're going to go onto the computer and use these images and see what we get.
So welcome to my computer. What we've done is we've shot up Photoshop for you just in the start so that we can just start right away. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open our bokeh files. So these are 4 files. I'm just going to click on this and this because these are the sort of files that I'm going to use for the image. The smaller ones are okay for some certain other images, but the image that we're going to work on today will require this. Now, the first step that we need to do is that we need to make sure that our background is completely black. So if I go on and click to my eyedropper tool and I hover my cursor over here, you can see that the RGB values, you can see the RGB values over here are around 542, and they're not 0, so they're not completely black, which means that some light is passed on and is over here. The first step is that we need to make sure that our background is completely black. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot up our levels mask, and we're going to increase this slightly. Now, as you can see, once you do that, what happens is that your background is getting a little darker, but the color of this is also changing. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to change our layer to luminosity. What that does is that it makes sure that it's only taking the change in luminosity and not color. Obviously, a little bit of color changes, but not a lot. Now if you come over here, we'll see that our background is completely black or at 0, which is what we want. So what we're going to do is that we're going to now merge these layers. So we're going to come here, right click and merge visible. The other thing that we're going to do is that we're going to go on to the other image, and we're going to do exactly the same here as well. So once that is done, now what we're going to do is we're going to press Ctrl or Command O and go back and open up the image that we want to add bokeh to. So the image that I've selected is an image of a Pakistani bride And what we're going to do is that we're going to come over here, press Control or Command A so that the entire picture is selected. Then we're going to press Control and Command C so that we copy everything. We're going to come onto our image and then we're going to press Control or Command V. So it's going to ask you if you want to change the color space, which we do. So we're going to press OK. Once we do that, it's going to paste our image right in front in the center. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place the bokeh where we want it. So to do that, we're going to press Control or Command T. Once we do that, this panel comes in and now we can move our image to however way we want. So we're going to increase it by pressing Shift so that it keeps the dimensions as the same, and we're going to move this to where we want it. Once we do that, we're going to do something like this. Press. In fact, it will look better if we move it like this over here. And okay, and I'm sure you're thinking right now, Kashif, what are you doing? This is like a black panel right in front of the bride. That doesn't look nice. But hold on, wait, we're going to get to where we want. We're going to take our other bokeh, again press Control or Command A on the Mac, and so that we select everything, copy it by pressing Control or Command C and pasting it over here. Again, you're going to press OK on the color space, and then we're going to move this around somewhere over here. Again, Control and Command T so that we can move this and align it the way we want it. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this around something like this. In fact, this looks slightly better. There, super. So now we have our bride covered in black spaces. Again, I know this is not what you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go onto our layer, go into layer options, and then click on screen. And once you do that, voila, we can see the background now. So what it has done is that it's removed the black part of your image and it's only pushing forward the white part of the image. We'll go to the other layer and do exactly the same. Go on to layer options and click on screen. And now you can see this awesome bokeh is coming in front. Again, now this is a bit overwhelming. I think we have to put some bokeh in front. I didn't think that we'll have so much bokeh. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to press Control T again, and we're going to move this slightly so that it becomes a little less overwhelming. This is better. I'll go on to the other layer, press Control or Command T and move this around. Now you can also see that there are like half bokehs on the edge of the image. So what we're going to do is that we're going to zoom in, and we're going to take our eraser tool, which is, you can press E, it's right over here, and then we're going to start erasing. We're going to erase the corner so that, this is on another layer over here, we erase the corner so that the half bokehs are removed. Now if we zoom out over here, now it looks interesting. I kind of disagree with the amount of bokeh that we have over here, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove some of the bokehs. This is, again, this is the layer, and we come here and remove this as well. Right. So now it's looking a lot better. I just feel that I want to increase the contrast a little bit. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy the background layer, and then I'm going to group this by pressing Control or Command G, and I'm going to make a curves mask. And once I do that, I'm going to place a point over here, and now the curves mask is something that we can obviously talk about in another video, but basically what it means is that if I push this up, the highlights are gonna increase, and like, you know, I mean, the exposure is gonna increase, and if I go down, the exposure is gonna decrease. So if I do it here, the overall exposure decreases, and if I push this up, the overall exposure increases. These are the midtones. If I put a point here, that means it's going to make sure that this part of the image remains intact. Now if I put a point here and move this up, it's going to increase the exposure on the highlights part, and if I move this down slightly, it's going to decrease the shadows a bit, sort of increasing the overall contrast. What I also feel, it is changing the color a little bit. So I'm going to come over here and move the layer options to luminosity. And once I do that, the color shift sort of goes away and this looks a little bit better. So this is how you basically add a bokeh to your image after you've shot the image. You can do this in the background over here. You can do this in the foreground. In this, what I wanted was for it to be in the foreground, but you can do this in the background as well if you want. What I'm also going to do is that I'm going to the Bokeh 1 and 2, these are the files. I'm going to place this online somewhere and I'm going to link it in the description so that if you don't want to shoot your bokehs yourself, you can do this and use my images if you want.